What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Green Bay Packers today. Obviously, woke up, grabbed a cup of diesel, and ready to get after it. Tim, how you doing this morning, man?
Good, man. I'm on my second cup. I'm
Same here, man. Same here, my man. Same here. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Just click on the link in the video description that'll send you to theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. So obviously doing the morning show here, a little bit different. I know we got people filing in. It's cool to see some people like the morning show, right? Like Nick McSwain morning show, all, exclamation points, good stuff, man. Some people are morning people, some people aren't. Josh Vallantingham, good morning, everyone. Got that diesel brewing for Good Morning Lambeau. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nick McSwain, looking forward to more morning shows. I can never listen at night with the, what would you call that emoji face there, Tim? It kind of
the frown face, I don't know.
Yeah, this kind of comes to mind for me, to be honest with you, man. When I see that one, it immediately makes me think.
Pressure.
Kind of like not sure what the heck's going on type face, right? Let's see here. Patrick in the chat. Love your stuff. Appreciate you, Patrick. Thanks for joining us this morning, man. And Patrick says, can the Packers go back to a 3-4? We kind of talked about this. We've seen your comment come through, Patrick. I'm a big 3-4 fan. I've always been a big 3-4 fan. I'm a big Dom Capers fan. Because I grew up on the Blitzburg defense. People like to say, okay, the scheme's bad, but you see Pittsburgh still running it, essentially. Now, they mix in, man. Every defense mixes in every look. But for the most part, you got that 34 jam front, and it's a fire zone blitz type defense. So I don't foresee them going back to a 3-4 as long as Matt LaFleur is the head coach. Everybody he's coached with, all of his buddies in the game, every one of them, they're big in the 4-3, that Pete Carroll style defense from the Legion of Boom days, and it's been modified over the years as well. Now, I will say that what Hafley has done with this defense is he's added in an element of, the defensive ends dropping into coverage with these fire zone blitzes. So that, from that sense, it's very, very similar. Mm-hmm. But the difference is one gap approach out of your base defense, which essentially means the defensive lineman one gap and go, right? You got one gap assignment in the running game for the most part, unless you run stunt. With the 34 jam, those three defensive linemen in the middle, when you're facing 12 or 21 or 13 personnel, they're assigned to two gaps. It's engage, hold the point of attack, and slide horizontally so your backers can come in and make the play, right? So I don't foresee it. Tim, how do you see that, man? You want to answer that question real quick?
Oh, I'm with you. I don't think we could go back, but I don't think it's likely. And even if we see a coordinator change here in the near future, I don't think the Packers get away from the 43. I mean, you're drafting now. Goody's in a position where he's going to be bringing in players to play in this type of a scheme. I'm with you, Clayton. I never really had a problem with the 3-4, but I do think if you're not executing like we saw with a couple of those years of Joe Barry's D, where guys weren't getting off their blocks and linebackers were not coming up in the run fit. And the 34 can expose you in the run game, as we've seen in recent memory. So I'm a fan of going to the 4-3. I like what Hafley's doing. It's possible. You never know. I mean, if there is a change, they could revert back. But I'm kind of with you. I think that they stuck with it as long as they did, and we finally did make a change. I don't see us going back to the 34 anytime soon.
Yeah. And Nick McSwain sarcastically says, I thought Joe Barry was the only DC who dropped linemen into coverage. Thinking emoji. Yeah. It's funny, man. That whole conversation last year was hilarious. When I went through and picked like multiple defenses, they had TJ Watt dropping into coverage in Pittsburgh, arguably the best pass rusher in the league. And it's funny when you put that up. Well, he can do that. Preston isn't versatile enough to do that. It's like, you guys aren't getting it. You're just not getting it.
Yeah.
I digress. But, yeah. It's funny, Holmes in the chat. No, Nick, recall when Raji dropped and got a pick six in the playoffs. Yeah. Holmes, he was being sarcastic. But, yes, that's another good example of a fire zone blitz, dropping the nose tackle into coverage. In week 1 this year against Philly, we had both of our interior defensive tackles drop into coverage on the same play. As soon as I seen that, I was like, it was all over the BC tape. You knew it was right.
Man, I'll never forget that BJ Raji pick, man. Oh my goodness. Showing off the sheer athletic ability. And of course, almost celebrating too soon and getting it stripped there at the goal line. Thank goodness he got it across. But I love it.
Normally I get mad over that type of stuff, Tim. I didn't even care. I was so excited for Raji. I'm like, it's all right. It wasn't a fumble. I don't care. I would harp on that for a few days if it was someone else. But it's like Raji was the most soft-spoken dude. What's crazy is he disappeared. Like to the best of my knowledge, his parents were Pentecostal pastors, right? If I understood correctly. And I don't know if pastor is the right word. They preached in the Pentecostal church, right? I think they might have founded a Pentecostal church. And, he burst onto the scene, played for a few years, won him a Super Bowl, and just disappeared. I've tried Googling. I've tried searching all over the place, not to harass him, but just like, what's Raji doing today? Just tells you a lot about a person. He just goes right back into the background and doesn't want to be bothered and just lives his life, right? Pretty cool. So,
yeah, wherever he's at, hopefully he's doing well. Best wishes to him. Thank you for the memories. Heck of a ride when he was here, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt about it. All right, Tim, you got a little bit of news that broke earlier today, right? If you want to hit on it. I know you've been following this really, really close, but go ahead, man.
Yeah, this actually, they updated this late last night, I believe. Shout out to NBC 26, local affiliate here in Green Bay. City agrees to pay for the Heritage Plaza's removal. The Green Bay Packers will be the ones who decide where the Heritage Plaza is going to be moved to. As you guys know, I'm not a huge fan about it being moved. It's kind of sad. It looks great downtown where it is on Washington and Cherry, but ultimately there's a new development coming in. They're going to build some apartments, some mixed use kind of stuff downtown, several developments happening. And ultimately they decided that they needed to move the plaza. The good news is the city's going to cover the cost for it, which is great. And leaving it up to the Packers to decide ultimately where the monuments are going to be moved. We got George Calhoun out there and Johnny Blood and a lot of the legends and plaques here. It's kind of like the gateway to the historic routes through downtown. You're just a few blocks away from Curly Lambeau's old office. And, we always talk about the history on the east side downtown in Green Bay. So not happy that they are moving it, but I am happy that, if you're going to have to do this, this is the way to do it. You can see on the headline here too, Mirren Construction is going to be the company that's contracted to relocate the monuments, which is great because they were the company that installed them when this first went in about 14 years ago. So at least the same contractors will be handling the materials, and you don't have to worry about any damage or anything crazy. These guys know what they're doing. So I guess now the next update will be where the Packers ultimately decide to move Heritage Plaza. So that's the latest update right now.
Yeah, me no like you, Jan. Me no like you at all. But I don't understand why we've constantly got to be changing historic stuff. It just it drives me crazy, and I don't want to turn negative, so we'll just change the topic. But thanks for keeping us up to date on that, man. At least the statues, obviously, they're not just chucking them in the Fox River or anything, right? We're going to put them on display somewhere else, but there's a reason they were where they were at, right? So,
which was the city of Green Bay's idea to begin with. So, it's nice that they're at least covering the cost to move it for sure.
Yeah. Never miss out on an opportunity to waste some money, right? That's what it's all about.
There you go.
So, all right. So speaking of history, obviously it's Bears week. We're continuing with the old photos that we've come across here on Twitter. This shout out goes to Pro Football Journal. Really cool follow there, guys. Make sure you check them out. He had quote tweeted me in the Bears photo that I'd showed from like 1934 or 1937, somewhere in that range. And he started, I guess he is adding color to some of these photos, which is really cool. This one here, obviously, Bears Packers. To me, it looks like it's got to be between 1937 and 1948, based off of the unis. But I love the random dude over here, no helmet, right? Not sure what happened to his leather helmet. Maybe they were optional at the time, but he's definitely missing it. This is back when football was football, man. It's just absolutely awesome. So
I love it.
Got that shot, and then he put out another couple. This poor guy right here, man. My goodness. Yeah, he's looks like he's about to get choked out, And
Yeah, they couldn't call a face mask back then, right? They just called it choking.
Pretty much chokehold, right?
Hey, the Bears know something about choking, right?
Yes, they do, because the Bears still suck, Tim. You know that better than anybody. So,
Absolutely.
like I said, it being Bears week, we're going to continue to show you those throughout the week as we or Bears week next week. We're going to continue to show you some of the stuff from the Packers-Bears rivalry over the years, which is awesome, man. Just it's so cool to see all that tradition. And I understand some people don't get as hot for it because maybe the Bears aren't as good, as the Packers here recently, and it's not been much of a competitive thing. But to me, there's no better way to celebrate an old rivalry than just kicking the absolute crap out of your opponent, right? I think
the
awesome.
Bears still suck.
All right, so there you are with your Bears-Packers history for the morning. Nick McSwain said, Clayton, are the Packers doing anything schematically differently in the red zone? Or is it more unforced errors stopping them from scoring? Now, Nick, I don't have a definitive answer there, right? I watch a lot of tape, but when I get asked a question like this, I want to dig in and actually come up with hard data. Chart every red zone play, all right, and then you could take the charting of run to pass ratio. You also chart the penalties in, all right, that can tell the story as well. And then when you take the running plays, peel another layer back in the running plays. Okay, what were the actual run schemes on those plays? Passing play, what were the route combinations? Which passing concepts did they lean on in the red zone? I don't have the time to do that, but what I can do here is pull up NFL Pro, and what we're going to do is we're only going to do 2 games. We're not going to show every play, but we're just going to comb through. These are all the red zone plays, okay? I do know that these are the red zone plays for the Packers in the last 2 games. So we're going to start with the Jaguars, and we're just going to read them off, and there's one that grabs our attention, then we'll hit it, okay? Let me just zoom out a little bit, make it a little easier. So against the Jaguars, as far as red zone plays, second quarter, 3rd and 8 play, looked like it ended up being a penalty on Jacksonville for illegal use of hands, okay? Let's see. Very next play, 1st and 10, negative 1 yard rush by Josh Jacobs. Very next play, 2nd and 11, Jordan Love throws an interception. Remember the out route he tried to hammer into Romeo Doubs, so he threw an interception there. Next red zone play came at Jacksonville's 3-yard line. I think they had maybe gotten a pick or something, but Josh Jacobs ends up scoring a touchdown, 3-yard run there. Here's the next one, second quarter, 8:04 left, 1st and 9 play from Jacksonville's 9-yard line. Josh Jacobs right in for 7 yards. Looked like there was an illegal shift, unfortunately, though. So penalty there on offense. Again, there's the penalties coming into play in the red zone. Second quarter, 7:33 left, 1st and 14. So this is the very next play. J Love pass incomplete, short right. So there's you a 1st and 14 passing play incomplete. Not good, bub, right? Emmanuel Wilson left into Jacksonville's 14 for no gain. So you got stuff in the run there. Just to me, it looks like execution, right? Like it's
to me, it looks like a lot of shotgun in the red zone and a lot of shotgun in the red zone, not really bringing you success, at least in this sampling that we're looking at right now.
And the big thing we're noticing too with Jordan Love, whether it be still the knee or the groin, you're not seeing a lot of under center snaps. Yeah. I think that's playing a huge role in his struggles. I really do, because and then you couple that with Elton Jenkins not getting a bunch of snaps at center and then having to take over at center in a downpour low into the left. Jordan's struggling with that groin to grab those. I mean, if you take all 3 botched snaps that ended up in fumbles and basically washed the play out, if you took those 3 off the docket last week, we're probably losing by 1 score, to be honest with you. So there's just and you can come up with the penalties and say the same thing. You can say the pick 6 and say the same. Like there's a number of different plays that you can just go, okay, without that, and that, this is a totally different ball game. And the vibe I'm getting, to answer your question, Nick, is it seems like a lot of these are penalties and just lack of execution, in my opinion. Here we go, second quarter, 1:03. So you're in the middle 8, 3rd and 6 play from Jacksonville's 19-yard line. Pass incomplete, went deep left to Watson. It fell incomplete. Josh Jacobs up the middle for 2 yards on this one in the 4th quarter, 1st and 5. Malik Willis pass short right to Tucker Kraft. So there you go, Malik Willis throwing that touchdown pass where they did the fake they did the RPR, little swing to our boy Tucker Kraft. Josh Jacobs, right guard, for 3 yards. Another red zone play. Chris Brooks up the middle for 8 yards. There you go. That was at Jacksonville's 12. Malik Willis, of course, kneels to Jacksonville's 5 for -1 yard. So that's just a nil play. So you take those last 2 out, obviously. So to answer your question against Jacksonville, to me, you had several penalties, at least 2. You had the interception by Love. I would say it's not really scheme. It's more execution. But I understand what Tim's saying, too, like you're kind of not playing too much shotgun, right? So,
yeah, I mean, it'd be nice. I mean, you think about, you get down in there, everything's compressed. You've got a shorter area to work with, trying to do play action fakes out of shotgun. You can find success there for sure. We've seen it before, but I mean, get QB1 under center at least once in a while,
right.
And then you can run some of that naked boot off of that or whatever, or pound the run, especially on early downs. But I mean, you see, like you look at some of these, man, you see Jacobs and Brooks and Emmanuel Wilson, you see these inside runs and you're seeing gains,
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on this. I don't think it's scheme either, but I do think we could do a little bit of service to ourselves by mixing it up a little bit down there in the red zone. I mean, it's shotgun 90% of the time down there.
Yeah, definitely. So here we are against Detroit. Josh Jacobs, left tackle, for 1 yard. Brooks, left guard, for 4 yards. This is all in the first quarter. Jordan Love pass incomplete on 3rd and 5. Looks like they try to go short middle to Brooks. I think Brooks might have dropped that one if I remember correctly. It wasn't a great pass, but still considered a drop probably. Let's see, 3rd quarter, 2:21 left. 1st and 10 at Detroit's 14-yard line. These are the ones that get me, Tim. First down, incomplete pass, right? And let's see if it actually bots them in the rear end or not. They may end up working out. I don't know, but no, it doesn't. Look, so 1st and 10, right? You get in the red zone. You're at Detroit's 14-yard line. You need to score points here, right? 1st and 10, incomplete pass. Your offense immediately gets a little more pressure on them now because now you're behind schedule. You're 2nd and 10. Man, we'd like to run the football, but at the same time, it's like now we're behind schedule. Should we try to pick up a chunk of 6 yards here through the passing game? What's the defense doing? Do we can? All those things come into play, right? But first down incompletion, now it's 2nd and 10. Jordan Love fumbles the snap, so that was one of the bad snaps, right? Mm-hmm. So, and it looked like on this play, it was recovered by Emmanuel Wilson and took it to Detroit's 14-yard line for, what is that, for 9 yards?
Yep.
So, yeah, so you actually, about all you could ask for there. Next play, which is weird. Hold up, was there like a penalty here? I'm trying to think. Jordan Love fumbles, blah, 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 for – can you not advance it? Maybe I don't know. It says for 9 yards. Oh, he picked it. Where he picked it up at, he gained 9 yards, which basically got him back to the line of scrimmage. I think is what they're saying there, maybe.
Yep.
Because the very next play is at Detroit's 14-yard line as well. 3rd and 10 play. J-Lo fumbles again, bad snap, and recovered at Detroit's 20. So you completely screwed up that whole drive there, right? And if I remember correctly, did they miss that field goal, Tim?
I know they missed one, so that could have been. Could have been it.
But again, to me, the problem lies in that first down, like that first down pass. Like you get completely behind schedule, right? And again, those are shotgun fumbles. If you were under center, that exchange is a higher percentage of not being mishandled, right?
I'd like to see him just run a straight draw on first down. Go ahead, go in shotgun. Everything's on tape. We keep doing this in the red zone. Run that ball on first down in the red zone.
Let's watch this whole sequence here. So here they are in a pistol, right? Which essentially gun. Pistol's a shallower gun.
Yep.
So here's the first down that's incomplete to Watson. Let's watch it real quick. Back to pass. Yeah, just a bad throw. I mean,
ball's out late too. That ball could have been out way sooner.
Yeah, that's a great point. So if we watch it again here, let's see if we can get it zoomed in a little bit further for y'all.
Scoot's going to get free really quick in this route.
Yes, right here. Look,
right here, you should be loading up. Because that linebacker isn't going to do anything. He's fading. Right here, you got to put it on him.
Yeah. He should already have the ball in his hand right there.
Yep.
And instead, you end up dirting it. Because if you get that out there to him, it's probably a whole different ballgame. But again, first down passes, more can go wrong than right. All right, next
it's like you said, though, execution, right? Because if they execute there, that could be a tutter to the pylon, or we're talking 1st and goal from the half-yard line there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so here's one of the botched snaps. You'll see it's low to the left, if I remember correctly. Yeah, low to the left.
Oh, God.
And again, you're getting too damn cute, Tim, right?
Yep.
So for those of you on the pod that can't see this, you're in bunch nasty, nub right. Okay, everybody's nasty splits. Jaden Reed in motion. And I know there's people that are like, the jet sweeps work. Stop bashing them. Bro, it isn't about – no one's saying take the jet sweep out of the offense. We're saying understand the situation. This doesn't have a damn thing to do with Jordan Love. This is Matt LaFleur. Understand the situation. Your running back was averaging 8.9 yards a freaking pop. There's no reason to do this right here. There's no reason. So, again, you're going to go with a little orbit motion, and you're doing the whole, low snap to the left, obviously hard to handle. You end up losing the snap, cue up the circus music, and instead Emmanuel Wilson picks it up, and that's what we were talking about. He ends up doing a good job getting those yards back, but, again, still going to be you're looking at a 3rd and 10 play.
That's terrible.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Chuck. So, Nick, is it schematically what in this Jaguars lack of execution, right? Lions game, what we're seeing, it was scheme. Like you can't in the piss pouring rain, you're trying to run these circus. Like, I'm sorry, just can't handle it, can't have it. Very next play, and this is another botch snap, and it's going to kind of kill the drive, obviously. But you see, there's not much Love can do there. Just get on the ball and take a helmet to the stern or take a helmet to the spine, right? That's all you can do. So, all right, cool. So I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we kind of dove into that one and just take a quick look. Again, shotgun sets inside the red zone rather than getting under center. That could have to do with the knee and getting too cute on the end arounds. Let's see. So, got that. There was the fumble. Okay, so next play, 1st and 10 at Detroit's 18-yard line in the 4th quarter. It was Chris Brooks, right guard, for 9 yards. Hark. Look at that. So running off guard. Notice it wasn't tackle like the previous format or the previous place that we talked about. It was off tackle. You're trying to get too much with that stretch. Stick with what's working. Stay inside. Then, of course, 2nd and 1, J Love, incomplete pass, short right. 3rd and 1, J Love, incomplete pass, short right to Wicks. So, scheme.
Like 2nd and 3rd and 1, man. I don't know about you, dude, but I trust every single running back on our roster to get us a freaking yard.
On 2
1
plays.
yard on 2 plays, and we're throwing?
Yeah. So, again, if it works, we're loving it. When it doesn't work, I know this. There's been many times it's worked, and I've also been like, thank God that worked.
Yeah.
Behind schedule. Rather than put the pressure on the defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, so then it's 4th and 1, and Josh Jacobs gets no gain. So you end up running it on 4th and 1 when you know they're queuing in.
They're loaded up. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So let's see. 4th quarter, 4:26 left, 1st and 10 at Detroit's 11-yard line. You got J Love. Pass incomplete, short right to Kraft. This is what I was talking about. For anyone who was in my mentions on Twitter saying, the incomplete passes aren't an issue, okay, you need to go watch the game again.
Yep.
Because these first down incompletions absolutely killed the offensive flow for sure. So, first down incompletion, J Love short middle for 9 yards there, and then it looks Emmanuel Wilson off right guard for 2 yards. For a touchdown. So those are your red zone plays for the last 2 games saturation. And again, NFL Pros absolutely awesome that you can pull that stuff up. But it's just I think we got our answer, Tim. It's a mix of both. And Nick, thank you for asking that, man. That was very off cuff. We pulled it up just on the spot. But at least the last 2 games saturation against Jacksonville, the red zone woes, lack of execution. Against Detroit, you tried to get too cute and you were passing on first down. That's the way I see it. So
I agree. I think it's a situation thing. Like you said, situationally, there are times to call the fancy stuff. Don't get me wrong. And it works. We've seen it before where you get some of that motion going. You get a little deception. You get the defense kind of moving early before the snap in the direction you want them to go. And then boom, it's a 50-yard gainer up the seam or something. When you're compressed and you're inside the 20 there and you're trying to knock on the door of that goal line and you're calling these cute plays, it's not working. It hasn't worked in a while. I don't know why we continue to do it, but hopefully we make some changes here.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to a Patreon question real quick, and I thought this was interesting, and it's kind of a long question, but I think it's definitely worth checking out here, and then we'll kind of dig into some of the analytics that may give us the answer that we're looking for. Shout out to our boy Jake G126, and here's what he says. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the state of the NFL quarterback position as a whole. Many fans can remember the 90s till now went through probably the greatest stint of quarterback play in NFL history. Do you think this results-driven league needs to relax a touch and let these quarterbacks develop before crucifying them? All I've been hearing is interceptions that from the media about Jay Money. What about the darling C.J. Stroud? He himself is having a bit of a sophomore slump. I don't hear anything about that. Don't get me wrong. I'd like the picks to slow down, but sheesh. I think one of the issues that many people don't talk about, Jake, is the college game is not preparing these quarterbacks for the NFL level.
Yes.
Everything is very, very schematic, quarterback friendly. Look to the side. Listen, I'm going to be going to a high school playoff game tonight. I want to lose my mind watching them come to the line, and then play clock's at 10, and the whole team has to look to the sideline. Let's get the play call, okay? And then you come back set, and all of a sudden someone didn't motion, delay a game. It's like, the coach, listen to me, coach. This isn't Madden. We're not here to watch you on the sideline with your pretty little quarter zip and your little laminated play sheet. We're here to watch football. And that whole approach of let's take it completely out of the quarterback's hands, you're not preparing them for college. And they get to college, you see the same damn thing, Tim.
Yep.
Like you see,
and then they get to the NFL if they're lucky, and it's like, here's a gigantic playbook. You better run the show. You better know every can. You better know every alternate set. You better know how to flex guys over.
Yep.
And they're looking like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's to me, I think that's a big issue with what's going on at the quarterback position. I really do. Now, when he's talking about how players are playing, I've got the quarterback grades pulled up. I won't put them on screen to save us time, but when it comes to PFF, let's see where C.J. Stroud is currently grading out 16th at a 75.4. Guys, that's a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
Grade, right? Jordan has a 71.3. He's 21st. Now, when you go passer grade, I think he jumps up to like 17th. And I want to say that C.J. Stroud maybe drops a touch. There is a thing such as, a quarterback slump. There's no two ways about that. That is a real thing in the NFL. But also the big thing is teams now have a full year of tape on him. They know what throws he makes best. They know how good or not so good he is at reading a defense. They're going to go in and go, okay, let's make him play left-handed. Here are the routes he likes to throw. Let's take those away. Here's his target he's most comfortable with. Let's take him away. And then if he beats us with the other options, he deserves the win. Many times that's how you scout out a quarterback. Now, with Jordan Love right now, he is not handling pressure well at all. So what are teams doing? Like you seen the pick six, they dialed up a blitz, right? Part of the reason is they know he's going to be careless with the football. Listen, this isn't nothing new with Jay Love. And I'm not dogging on Jay Love. You got to take the good with the bad. I have showed that seam ball to Tucker Kraft more than any play we've ever showed on this particular show. And I love it. I told you it's exciting again because like Aaron was not going to take that shot later in his career, right? And that's why your touchdown to interception ratio was so high and you were winning so many games with Aaron Rodgers here. But there's something in me, like it takes me back to 1997. It takes me back to 1994 going, man, this feels a little bit like Favre. Like this is exciting again, right? Yep. But you got to take the good with the bad. And with Jordan Love, they see that on tape. They're going to pressure him because he's hurt and he can't get away quite like he did last year. And on top of that, they know he's going to give him an opportunity to take a turnover. So,
I mean, really, it's been on tape for him since Utah State. I mean, we talked about his last couple of years in college and what he had to deal with the turnover and getting the staff kind of pulled out from underneath him and then having to kind of go out there and just try and sling it in your final season. And, we've seen it. And I think that will correct itself over time. Jordan, the more pressures he's facing, the better chance he has to learn from that and what to do with the ball. We used to cringe when we'd see Aaron Rodgers take a sack there, but if he knew that was the best thing to do, just, cradle that ball and tuck and roll and the play's over. The defense won this one. We'll get them on the next down. It's better than taking a sack or better than a strip sack and a fumble or, a pick six in crucial times. Jordan will work his way through this. I truly believe it. This is kind of a sophomore year for him too. It's a second year starter. He's got to learn from these mistakes, but it takes time. But I agree, man. What Jake's point here, the 90s up until today, we remember the 90s, Clayton. That's what we came up watching 90s football. And man, you had some freaking legendary quarterback play in that era for sure. I think there's a real good argument that probably the greatest in a quarterback play in recent history for sure.
Yeah, and the game has changed too. Like comparing the 90s stats to today's stats, listen, I'm as guilty as anyone because I want to draw that parallel from Favre's first 1 or 2 seasons as a starter in Green Bay to how Jordan's doing because they have similar play styles. But when you're comparing the inflated numbers today to the 90s, like the interceptions today are far less frequent as they were in the 90s. Like you could come out in the 90s and throw 28 touchdowns and 23 interceptions, and that was considered a good year. Yep. Today you'd be looked at like, is he the answer at quarterback, right? Because again, the game has changed. It's evolved over the years. Now, when we look at Jordan, I do have this chart we'll pull up real quick. So this is quarterbacks EPA per play leaders in the NFL this season, okay? And essentially Jordan's 15th on this list. So again, expected points added per play leaders. Jaden Daniels 1, Lamar Jackson 2, Josh Allen 3, Joe Burrow 4, and quite a drop-off from those 3 to Joe Burrow, by the way. Then you got Tua Tagovailoa, you've got Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr, believe it or not, Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, how about that, Tim, being down there around the 13 spot? That's the spot, 12 or 13.
Crazy.
And Kyler Murray. Then you've got
Mr. Xbox.
Yeah, Joe Flacco, and then Jordan Love. So listen, no matter what you look at with Jordan Love, as far as you can look at the PFF grade, having a down year compared to the second half of the season. You look at his EPA per play, he's having a down year compared to last year. You look at the interceptions, you got to call it what it is. When it comes to protecting the football, I want everyone to hear me clear here, okay? I love Jordan Love. I want him to be the quarterback of the future. I think he is the quarterback of the future. But if we're going to approach this, and we always try to look at things on this show like we're a part of the team, like what's the coaching staff looking at? I know Matt LaFleur kind of shrugged it off in the presser, but I guarantee you this bye week, he is all over Jordan like, listen, bub, we can't keep doing this crap. Like you cannot turn the ball over every week like that and expect to win in the league. And the fact that they're sitting at 6-3, despite him leading the league in interceptions, that's a godsend. Clean it up and clean it up now. That's just, It is what it is. So
let's be real though. We talked about that. We have to remember the guy's, we're not going to say injured, but he's playing hurt.
Right,
he's not 100%. And one of the things we always talked about, Jordan, you're never going to hear me say, oh, Jordan Love's a scrambler. He's a mobile quarterback. Mm-hmm. No, but one of the things we always liked about his game coming into this league was the fact that if there's a breakdown of that pocket or that line, he's able to step up, step out, roll right, do what he's got to do. That mobility is decreased by 80 to 90% now. He knows he doesn't really have that option, or he's hesitant to take that option. So yeah, he's gonna Brett Favre it down the field and try and make plays. And you're right. I bet you Tupac LaFleur is having a conversation with Jay Money right about now. And man, you think we watch tape? Man, those guys are probably deep in the film room during this bye and trying to get it together here so we can go out and torch the Bears. But we can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot like this for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, shout out to Jake G126 in the Patreon group. If you guys want to join our awesome Patreon community, scan the QR code in the upper right. That'll send you to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. If you're a member of one of the 3 tiers on there, we enter you into giveaways here on the show, just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. And they'll be thrown into a group also with the YouTube members as well. So, again, thank you for the question there, Jake. I thought it was cool to kind of take a look, step back. All right, let's see where Jordan's sitting as far as the rankings and stuff like that. And again, EPA per play isn't everything. What I like to do on this show, and I know Tim agrees, we take the PFF grade. We take the EPA rankings. We look at the tape. We take everything and put it into one big pot and go, okay, here's what happened and why it happened, as opposed to just going, well, PFF said they had this many pressures. And,
DVOA says that.
DVOA, man, I swear. When I hear people say DVOA, I just move on to the next conversation. There's nothing wrong with DVOA other than the fact that people treat it like it's the absolute freaking gospel. And it's just I just can't handle it. But anyway, so there is your where Jordan's ranking in that regard. Again, thank you to the Patreon community. You guys are awesome there. So why don't we do this? Why don't we we're going to get ready to shift gears here in a second and actually go to PFF grades across the league. But before we do it, Tim, why don't we take a quick glance across the league? I know it's the bye week. I thought about doing a watch party on Sunday, maybe picking one game and actually doing a live stream and us just hang out in here and watch a game. I just don't know if enough people would be interested in it. We've been getting, everybody asking, do a watch party for Packer games. It's just, it makes the day too long for me. I got to do a pregame show. I had to do a postgame show. If I'm watching the game live on stream too, I'm going to be cross-eyed by the end of the show. You know what I mean? Staring at the light here. But nonetheless, though, playoff picture. Again, we hit on this earlier in the week. Just want to give everybody a quick refresher going into the weekend. Let's focus on the NFC playoff picture. The Lions have the number 1 seed, the Washington Commanders 2, Atlanta Falcons 3, Arizona Cardinals 4, Minnesota Vikings 5, and then the Philadelphia Eagles in the 6th spot. And the Packers right now are currently sitting with the number 7 seed in the NFC as it sits right now. In the AFC, you got the Kansas City Chiefs 1, Buffalo Bills 2, Pittsburgh Steelers 3, Houston Texans 4, Baltimore Ravens 5, LA Chargers 6, and the Denver Broncos are number 7 currently. So when we look ahead to this week, shout out to on X, Nerding on NFL, giving us this awesome graphic.
I love it.
Every single week. So essentially what you've got on the left side there are the matchups this week. In the middle, you've got the division standings. And then on the right, you've got the statistical leaders as far as passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, and then the highest gaining offenses and defenses in the league. All right, so let's start. Last night, obviously, the Baltimore Ravens eked one out against the Cincinnati Bengals. Tim, did you watch any of that game, sir?
I did not. I did not get a chance to watch that. But we've got NFL Pro, so I can do that today.
Bro, they go down and basically score with hardly any time left. Actually, no time left, I think. Yeah. The Cincinnati Bengals did. It was like under a minute left. They scored and they decided to go for 2 instead of tie it up.
Oh, my gosh.
That's how they lost the game. It's just like – and this is what their coach has kind of become known for. This is what Michael Lombardi's always harping on too, is like, why do you keep turning down the points? The thing I respect about Matt LaFleur, he's willing to take a field goal. Problem is, in the past, he hasn't had a kicker that can hit it, right?
Right.
So, now that we got a kicker that's going to be a little more stable, I think you're going to see that work out in our favor a little bit more. I know he missed the kick in the monsoon the other day, which, we expected that. That was coming. He's not going to hit every kick. I'm going to try to set the proper expectations for our audience. If you're expecting Brandon McManus to come in and hit 95% of his kicks, it's not going to happen. He's probably going to be somewhere between 80 and 85. And if he's above 85%, hell of a year for McManus, at least where he's at in his career.
And again, money inside of 50 yards. This is what we need. We don't need a guy kicking 65-yard field goals for us. We need someone who can be consistent inside that 50-yard range.
Yeah,
so
really between 40 and 50 is where we struggle.
So true.
Yeah, there you go. So again, Baltimore gets the win last night. So starting on Sunday, we got a morning game at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. The Giants at the Panthers, although it's going to be played overseas, right? I don't know if this one's in London or Germany.
It's in Germany.
Okay, cool.
They got who is that matchup again?
Bro. New York Giants
and the Panthers. Oh, das ist not gut, Germany.
Bro, I love talking about it. They're like, what the hell did the Germans do there? Like, why are we punishing them with this game?
I don't know, man. I'm going to laugh when it ends in a 3-3 tie or something.
Yeah, no doubt. So, again, Giants at the Panthers at 8:30 Central kickoff. Then you've got the Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts in the 1 o'clock slate. You've got the Broncos at the Chiefs. You've got the Steelers at the Commanders. That's going to be one to watch there. That should be a really good football game. You got the Falcons at the Saints, the Niners at the Buccaneers. That one's going to be a lot of fun. That's something that's going to kind of have some effect on the Packers playoffs here. Let's just look at the standings there in the middle column real quick. The Buccaneers are sitting at 4-5. Again, think wild card, guys. Right now, we've got to think wild. Doesn't mean we don't have a shot at the division, but we want to make sure we stamp our spot into the playoffs, right? So who do you want to win this game? You've got the 49ers sitting at 4-4. You've got the Buccaneers sitting at 4-5. Really doesn't matter to me who wins this game. Obviously, the bye week hasn't come into effect there for San Francisco, I'm guessing. But with them obviously playing one last game, for me, I probably want to see the Niners lose this one, just in case we lose to the Niners here in a couple of weeks, right? Yep. That way that tiebreaker kind of disappears. But at the same time, you just want these two teams to beat each other up, really. So,
for sure.
All right.
I like what you said about that. Just going back to Sunday's games, Steelers at the Commanders. So good old Preston Smith leaves the pack, goes to his new team to play his old team for his first game. I love it. That'll be a fun one to watch, though, for sure.
Yeah. So as far
Steelers in that game, right? Obviously.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as games to watch, look for San Francisco, Tampa Bay in the 1 o'clock window. Next, New England Patriots. That's the Chicago Bears. That's always must-see TV to see if Caleb Williams falls flat on his face. I'll be watching that one. Obviously, it's going to be played in Chicago, and they're our next matchup. So it's a great way to get a quick refresher on what are they doing schematically at the moment, right? So that's going to be another game to really keep an eye on. Another 1 o'clock window is going to be Minnesota at Jacksonville, okay? That's going to be in the 1 o'clock window or the 12 Central for those of you on Lambeau time. Really what I got is we're going to have the try box up here on the big screen on Sunday in the command center. We're going to have all three of those games up at once to keep an eye on them. So obviously,
let's go, Fabio.
Yeah, we're going to be Jaguar fans this week for sure, and I'll be pulling for those Patriots against the Bears, obviously. So it's pretty cool when you got three games in the 1 o'clock window to watch. Now in the 4 o'clock window, you've got the Titans at the Chargers. You got the Jets at the Cardinals. I'll probably peep Aaron on that one for sure. And then you got the Eagles at the Cowboys. I'll be a Cowboy fan for that one, no doubt about it. So in the 4 o'clock windows, you're probably looking at you want the Jets to beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals are currently at 5-4. You want those NFC teams to just continue to get beat up, right? They're leading their division, but we want that to be a loss. So I'll be rooting for the Jets. And then as far as the Eagles and the Cowboys, you got to be rooting for the Cowboys in that one. Listen, it's going to be an uphill battle. Dak's going to be out for several weeks. That may be a good thing. I don't know. But you definitely want the Cowboys to beat the Eagles in that matchup right there.
So who's getting the start for Dallas then? Is that who's there?
I can't remember. I
not Trey Lance, is it?
No, it's not Trey Lance. It's another guy. Who was it? I'm trying to think. Somebody will know in the chat. Let us know who's going to be starting for Dallas this week. I seen him come in last week. I want to say it's like someone like the name I keep thinking of is Andy Dalton, but Andy.
I was thinking that too. Is it Andy Dalton?
Rush. It's Cooper Rush.
Oh,
yeah, Andy Dalton's in Carolina. So yeah, basically what we were trying to say there is it's a journeyman middle-aged white quarterback. Okay, so not gonna perform well probably, to be honest with you. So so again, Philly at Dallas. You think Dallas has got a chance with Cooper Rush at quarterback, Tim? I think they got a chance in that game. Philly's playing pretty good football right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's more about how is Dallas's defense going to handle Saquon and those guys, because Saquon Barkley's probably the best running back in the NFL right now, honestly, the way he's been playing. But, I mean, offensively, Dallas is just, they've really struggled, even with Dak. So, I don't know, maybe a little change of scenery back there could kind of jar something loose and they could get some things going. You got to think that McCarthy's going to have a game plan tailored around them. So we'll see, but I'm not a sports bettor, but if I was, I would be putting my money on Philly in this game for sure.
Exactly. And then the Sunday night game is obviously going to be the Lions at the Texans. We'll all be Texans fans in that game there. Monday Night Football is going to be the Dolphins at the Rams. The Rams are sitting 4-4, so we'll definitely be pulling for the Dolphins. For those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for hour one. We will see you on the other side for hour two. We appreciate y'all. So when we look at the standings again, you got the Bills leading the East, Steelers in the North, Texans in the South, and the Chiefs in the West across the AFC. In the NFC, you got the Commanders in the East, the Lions in the North, the Falcons in the South. Who's that last one down there, Tim? And the Cardinals in the West. Go ahead, pull that back up. I apologize, buddy.
I just thought that was funny. Holmes in the chat. Dallas has been done since we stole their souls last season in the playoffs.
Hey, listen, Holmes, you're not kidding. Like, that shook that whole organization. There's no two ways about it, Tim. Like, you could tell they came into this year like, all right, we got everybody's on the hot seat. Is what Jerry Jones.
They got embarrassed. They got absolutely embarrassed because they talked a lot of smack going into that game. That was a definite example of a team thinking, hey, we're the better team. We got the better record. We got the home game. And you got boat raced. And
it's a perfect example, too, of like, listen, they had 3 really expensive players to pay this year. You had to pay Dak. You had to pay CeeDee Lamb. And I still don't think they paid Micah Parsons. He's up for a contract, too, or at least he's wanting a new contract. So you had those 3 players. All 3, I personally think, are worthy of a contract. But they had the opportunity to go get Derrick Henry. Right, Derrick Henry. If you put Derrick Henry in that offense, like who was it that said it down here? Nick McSwain. Cowboys have 0 run game. Nick, imagine if Derrick Henry was their starting running back. Yep. Derrick Henry is leading the league at 1,052 yards, 6.3 yards per carry. You put him in that offense, and teams having to stack that box, and now it opens everything up over the top for like a CeeDee Lamb and some of these other receivers. Holy cow, man.
What a monster, man. There's like 7 games left of the season. This guy's already over 1,000 yards. No big deal.
Yeah.
Guy's just a truck.
A great point by Nick, too, saying how many all-pros did Cowboys have last year? The Packers had 0. They had a few, if I remember correctly. Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott. I'm pretty sure Dak Prescott was because he was like top 3 in every statistical category last year.
Yep.
Trying to think. Probably somebody on that offensive line, too. What's that?
CeeDee Lamb, did he get all pro last year?
I don't know if he did or not. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he did.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, again, the Packers, Holmes, I don't know what your problem is, but who cares? I'll tell you who cares. The listeners who said, hey, since the Packers beat the Cowboys last year in the playoffs, they've been in turmoil, okay? So, you're going to be a smart ass, just get out, all right? We talk about what the fans want to talk about in here, not what one in particular fan wants to talk about. So I hate to be that guy, but just not going to happen in here. Sorry, man. We're trying not to be rude to people. You're not going to be rude to everybody in here.
That's terrible.
So anyway, as far as most passing yards, top 5, you got Geno Smith at 2,560 yards. Then you got Baker Mayfield behind him. Lamar Jackson having a heck of a year. Kirk Cousins with the Falcons having a good year too. That seemed to be, listen, they caught a lot of grief last year, Tim. For signing, okay, my bad, Holmes, if that's not what you meant, man. So, anyway.
How dare you?
Kirk Cousins, they caught a lot of grief with that signing in Atlanta.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Like, to me, it makes a lot of sense to, like, have a veteran and then draft a quarterback to sit behind him. That's kind of been the Packers' business model this whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was our reaction. We talked about that offline. We were like, oh, Kirk's going to go down there and ball out. I mean, we saw that coming,
Yep. Number 1 Packer fan said, yeah, he didn't mean that at you, Clayton. LOL. Okay, sorry, Holmes. I apologize. That's my mistake, man. Please accept my apology. I thought you were saying who cares, like move on, talking about something else. So that's my bad, man. I'm a hothead. Listen, I'm Italian. Or not Italian. I'm Italian. That's hilarious.
That's
I got that Irish. Yeah, that is. Emilio's got like 7 different nationalities, but
heard it from a fan right here.
I got that Irish in me, man. So I apologize. Anyway, running game, Derrick Henry, 1,052 yards. Just wild. The fact that he's got so many runs over 20 mile an hour, I keep going back to that because he is an absolute tank, man. Absolute tank.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, you ever see that clip of him talking about his high school days, and how the coach would have him at like 40 or 50 carries a game, that they would just give him the ball? And he's like, yeah, I look back on it now, he's probably overworking me a little bit. And it's like, look at the career this guy's had. I mean, he's the definition of a workhorse running back. I mean,
right.
That guy is just high motor, high skill, high energy, and just freaking impossible to tackle. And you just see it now here as a pro.
Yeah, he's a stud. And listen, there were many people that were like, Derrick Henry's getting older. He's had a lot of tread wore off. Like they ran him into the ground in Tennessee, which, by the way, the fact that Tennessee traded away Derrick Henry and he's leading the league in rushing, and then they also traded away D-Hop and immediately has an impact for the Chiefs is like, no wonder your organization is a dumpster fire. I understand trading D-Hop, but the whole not signing Derrick Henry back, like it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. You got a young quarterback. You're wondering why he's struggling because he doesn't have a run game to lean on, But Holmes in the chat said, I meant that the Cowboys are not good despite how many all-pros they have. Clayton sending me the smoke laughing emoji. My bad. Again, Holmes. And it's true. Like, people put a lot of stock in that stuff, right? With the all-pros and the Pro Bowls and all that. And it's, to me, man, it's just all about winning that one.
Here we go.
All right. Let's see what else we got here on this graphic. So most receiving yards, Justin Jefferson doing Justin Jefferson things, man. Holy cow. 783 yards receiving. Jamar Chase, 717 yards. Let's see.
Look at the two LSU teammates just dominating the top of the league right now.
Yeah, it's amazing, too, how a couple weeks ago there were many people like, Garrett Wilson's one of the best receivers in the league, and he's struggling with Aaron. It's Aaron's fault. Garrett Wilson's third in the league in receiving.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like just
he's still getting more targets than Tay Adams, despite all the talk.
Yeah, definitely. CD Lamb, 660 yards, so having a pretty solid year there. And then Zay Flowers for the Ravens, 654, which, by the way, Lamar last night, man, that dude is unbelievable, Tim. Like,
yeah,
when I seen him come out of college, I questioned that, man. I really, really, really had, like, my reservation. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's going to transition to the NFL. And then you get a couple years in, he wins an MVP, and then they're like, okay, he's going to change more into a pocket passer. I'm like, that's not his game. Flip the switch. One of the best passers in the league. It's just Lamar's going to go down as one of the greats. I'm kind of rooting for him if the Packers don't, have an opportunity to play for a Super Bowl. I'm kind of rooting for him to win a Super Bowl, man. He seems like a great guy.
Tell you, you look at Lamar's career, and there's proof of how difficult it is to win a Lombardi trophy. It is not easy to get to or win a Super Bowl. A guy like Lamar, man, knocked on the door so many times, just can't get over the hump, right? And it's not for lack of talent or skill. Like you said, the guy's adapted his game. That was the thing that I think got him to where he is now, where we talk about him, in the light that we talk about him, is the fact that he did adapt his game. He is able to stand in that pocket and pick apart a defense as well as tuck in and run. And it's really hard to scheme against a guy like Lamar Jackson. It gives DC's hell all the time. I think even Cam Newton was like that in his prime. Just impossible to scheme against a guy who can beat you with his legs and his arm. So, hats off to Lamar Jackson right now for sure.
Yeah. Nick McSwain in the chat said Jamar Chase went off last night. He had like 250 yards. Nick, it was wild, man. That dude, he's a real deal. He might be the best receiver in the league, to be honest with you. And you see these numbers, they have him at 717 yards, Tim. That was obviously before the game last night. So now if they were all receiving yards, and he may be exaggerating a little bit, let's just say it was 200, he immediately jumps up to 917, probably going to be leading the league after this week, I would imagine. So just wild that they've got that. And Holmes says that was crazy. And then Nick McSwain said 11 catches, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they lost. LOL. Another good example, Tim. Receiver isn't like this position that's just like everybody falls in love with it because you see those numbers, right? And those are very, very gaudy numbers, putting points on the board and all that. But receivers should always be the last piece you put in place. If you land one like Jamar, it doesn't mean you trade them away or you move on when you don't have the other things. It just means you don't go out and try to grab that specific position when you got holes in these other top tier positions. Yep. You know what I mean? Like,
you get a guy like Jamar Chase, man, you start looking on the other side of the ball, maybe start loading up on your defense a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Nick McSwain says, crazy how much the Ravens defense has regressed this year. Their DC was a big loss. That's something that really doesn't get talked about enough. And it kind of happened in Green Bay in 2022. A lot of the coaching staff gets pulled out of there. And now as a head coach, you got to back up. All right, who's the best people to put in position? I think that's way more difficult than people realize, as far as trying to replace assistant coaches and coordinators and everything. Because when they lost, I think, was it Mike McDonald that went to Seattle, I believe. That's a real thing. There's no two ways about it. So,
yep.
All right. Let's see. Let's go on to offensive
It's like
yard.
Kansas City, right? If they didn't have Spags, I bet you they'd regress defensively.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. Spags is one of those guys that I don't think he'll ever be a good head coach. Michael Lombardi was talking about that the other day. Some guys are good head coaches, some guys aren't. Some guys are just great coordinators. I think Spags is that. Spags is going to go down as a possibly a top 10 defensive coordinator in the history of the league.
Yep.
As a head coach, I mean, he's the bottom of the barrel.
You know what's crazy is I used to think that about Dan Quinn. You know, after the move out of Atlanta, then he goes to Dallas and kind of gets their defense back where it needs to be. And I thought, oh, maybe this is an example of one of those guys. Hey, he's better suited as a coordinator. But it's like now you see him over in Washington. Look at what Washington's doing right now. So clearly, that guy's a legit head coach.
Right. Nick McSwain said he had 264 yards, actually. Just check. That's crazy. Jamar Chase going off. All right, as far as team offensive yards per game, the Ravens lead the league at 445.9. 49ers at 412.4. People are looking at the Niners like they suck. Not the case, guys. They still have a very, very potent offense. Got to be prepared for that game coming up, no doubt.
They're getting McCaffrey back soon, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it might happen this week.
Here's the guy.
We will know. Let's see, when is that game again? 1 o'clock window on Sunday, right? At Tampa. So we'll keep our eye on that for sure with him coming up. I wonder if he'll be actually 100% or if they – I know he went overseas to get some different kind of treatment that might not be legal here in the States, but allegedly that's kind of the talk around that. But of course that may be changing soon if you guys are keeping up with what's going on in the country. There's going to be some big changes in that regard. And again, it's about football. I'm not saying this for political reasons. It's just there's been a lot of football players across the NFL that have been very, 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 very outspoken about the limitations in our country as far as, new age. I don't think technology is the right word, but just medical advancements.
Alternative medicine, yeah.
That, pharma has really pushed back against. And it sounds like some of that stuff is going to be changed, or at least it's being talked about being changed. You guys know how that goes. But,
San Francisco needs him right now. They're sitting at 500. This is kind of like do or die time for them. They're either going to turn it around or they're going to continue to slide probably. And I would think, like Drew D is saying right here, McCaffrey probably will be on a snap count. I would agree with that. The last thing you want to do is send the guy out and hand him the ball 30 times and, stress it out. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Drew D, CMC is supposed to be on a snap count. Yeah. I can't imagine he just come back to a complete workload for sure. But the Commanders are third at 392 yards per game. The Packers are fourth currently at 390.6 yards per game. And then you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 377.8. On defense, least yards allowed per game. The Titans are still at the top. Tim, isn't it funny how people get so caught up in the yards per game? And then you look up and you see a team like the Titans. It's like you would think they have one of the best defenses in the league.
Nope.
Right. And they're horrible. They're a horrible team. Like, seriously, where are the Titans at in their division? They're 2-6 right now. Third in their division at 2-6. That's why I'm always talking about, like, the points per game is the most important statistic. All of it is important, but the main thing you need to key in on is, like Coach Half was saying earlier in the year to his presser, listen, the name of the game is I don't care how many yards we give up. I don't care how many sacks we get. The only thing that matters is that we win the football game. And that play calling is going to be reflective of the current situation, down distance, and how the game is flowing at that particular moment, that particular week, right? So Titans first in the league in least yards allowed on defense, absolute garbage football team. Texans 281.7, then the Eagles at 290, Jets at 290, and the Chiefs at 293. So Spags continuing to give up minimal yards there as the offense has kind of struggled this year, if I remember correctly, with the Chiefs. I know Patrick Mahomes was on that graphic just a second ago that we showed with Jordan Love, right? And he was significantly lower, right? Let's see here. So he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th in the league as far as EPA per play leaders. So
yeah, not very much ahead of J Love and Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
yeah.
Or Stafford. Wow.
Yep. Definitely. All right. Let's look at our defensive breakdown real quick, Tim, if that's cool with you. This is really cool. They took it a step further. They being at @football_insights on X. And basically what you got is weeks 1 through 9. This is defensive coverages during the 2024 NFL season. And what they also did was they added in blitz rate, okay, and yak percentage as well, okay, so yards after catch percentage. So let's key in on the blitz rate and see where the Packers are, because many people, they'll say you can't get Packers can't get pressures unless they blitz, and so they're going to have to blitz a lot. That's not been the case. They haven't really been keying in on blitz. I'm telling you, if you watch the tape, you can see that this pass rush is a very controlled pass rush. We show it every single week. And when they do fire those fire zone blitzes, they're hitting home. There's no two ways about it.
Look at the rates here. You can see with the percentages, 21% blitz rate. That's on the lower end of the spectrum. If you look at these numbers league wide here, a lot of teams in the 30, near 40% range of blitzing. So we're definitely on the low end.
Yeah. 5. I'm trying to count them off here. There's 5. Let's see. 6. No, 5. 6. Yeah, 6. Looks like there's 6 teams that have a lower blitz percentage than us. So we're in the bottom third in blitz rate. And again, the defense has been playing pretty solid, right? Like you hold the Lions to 17 points, and I know I'm always going to throw out there it was piss poor in the rain. I got you, but the fact that they've held. I mean, you see it right here. EPA per drop back in the passing game, Tim. They're minus 0.01, which is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10th in the league, 10th or 11th in the league. And when you look at the top of defense they're running, the majority of the time the Packers are playing 72% zone. Okay, so make a mental note of that. They're in one high looks 54% of the time, which tells you if you're playing zone 72% of the time and you're giving those one high looks, you're playing a ton of cover 3. We have that on the other graphic. I'll pull that up real quick just to kind of coincide with it. 31% of the time we're in cover 3 zone defense. 22% of the time we're in cover 1 man. Back to the original. 72% zone, 54% single high. 48% of the time we're showing shell coverage, that 2 high set. And then man coverage, we're 24% of the time playing man coverage. So when you look at that man coverage rate too, Tim, that's probably right in the middle of the pack, wouldn't you say?
Looks like about average, not high or low. And again, I think we see, Hafley will call man sets situationally. We don't lean into man coverage and start running man to man, for entire series or anything like that. I do think, I've made a comment like this before. You got to be able to play it when you're in that red zone. When you're definitely inside the 10, you're backed up against the goal line. That's when you want to see your man-to-man coverage really be successful. And you want to have guys on the field that can play those man sets because everything's compressed. You've got a shorter field. It's a little bit easier to pick apart a zone when you got no room to spread out. And it's easy for a guy to miss his spot and someone runs open. If you can lock down in man coverage there in those short yard situations, in the red zone on defense, that'll help you. But I love the fact that Hafley is, he's got a system here and it's balanced. We're going to lean zone, which you and I are both fans of. You're going to limit those explosives. But yeah, you mix in some man 24% of the time, keeps these offenses guessing a little bit, keeps them honest.
Yeah. Drudy in the chat said, I won't complain how our defense gets it done with all of our major injuries on defense. Very good point. Like Jair Alexander missing time again. Evan Williams missing time. Definitely been banged up on defense. The thing that worries me about Jai, though, is, you're talking about his last 32 games, missing 50% of the games. That's tough, man. That's a tough statistic for sure. Let's see, CJN, typical Bears season, top defense with the dysfunctional offense. Yeah,
the Bears still suck.
That's going to be the thing to watch when the Packers play the Bears next week. Is you listen, their defense, they can hurt you and they can hurt you bad. You got to protect the football. You got to let how the Lions played us. The Lions basically came out and said, we're going to let them make the mistakes. Yep. We're going to keep this close to the vest, and yeah, we're not going to try to push the ball down the field. That's a good. The fact that some people see that as a negative blows my mind. Like, you don't even throw the ball down the field. That's a good thing. That means they're playing within the scheme of the structure of their offense. They're playing efficiently. They're controlling the clock. They're protecting the football.
Yeah.
All these things matter more than you jumping up.
It's literally how they beat us.
Right.
All day long. Yeah. I mean, what was their longest pass? 15 yards, something like that?
Probably,
yeah.
Definitely. So, the Bears have the top pass defense in the league right now, EPA per drop back at minus 0.14. So, got to protect the football coming out of that bye. Now, again, their offense is cheeks, so you got to make them make the mistakes. Let's lean on the run, and let's try to not put ourselves in a bad position there. Obviously playing in Chicago, I don't know how rowdy that crowd will be. I don't know what the weather will look like. I imagine it'll probably be – good chance it'll be windy. So, definitely just be willing to lean on the run, man, and control that clock for sure.
Yep.
So, all right. So we hit the defensive break. Now, I thought that was really cool that they added in the blitz rate and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and the far left one too is I think that's average depth of target, if I remember correctly. So it kind of shows you how teams are hitting these defenses as far as how far down the field. The Packers are sitting at 8.3 average depth of target that other teams are attacking them with. And when you look at the Bears, theirs is at 8.7. So it seems like teams are scheming up attacks against the Bears to try to throw the ball, between 8 and 9 yards down the field on average. And when you look at some of the other defenses, like the Giants, teams are just dinking and dunking underneath them, right? 6.7. They got one of the worst defenses in the league, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, their EPA per drop back as far as pass defense is 0.09 allowed. Look at the Cowboys defense, man. Since Dan Campbell left and went to Washington, it's a perfect example of what we were just talking about, right? DC's leaving and teams just going all to hell, right? I mean, that's what happened with the Cowboys for sure.
Yep.
And the Jaguars dead last. So, listen, one of the matchups this week we talked about is the Minnesota Vikings going into Jacksonville. We might not want to watch that one because they're
trap game. Come on, trap game. Let's go, Fabio.
Man, 0.30. That defense is so bad, so bad.
Oh man, no, you're right. If the Jags score 10 points, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's do this. We got probably about 13 minutes left in us. Why don't we hit some PFF positional grades across the league, Tim? Nice. And then we'll continue this on tomorrow's show as well because I just want to get a feel for where each position is ranking across the league. Again, I want to put this full disclaimer out there. We always say PFF isn't everything, guys. You guys hear me. I will complain about PFF just as much as anyone else, but it's a tool that we can use. So I think it's important to kind of lean on it. When you look at quarterbacks, top-graded quarterbacks across the league, we'll just talk top 3, maybe top 5, and then we'll show you where the Packers positions fall in, okay? So let's just go PFF grades across the NFL. All right, so leading the league, Lamar Jackson, 92.6. Next is Joe Burrow at 90.3. Jaden Daniels, Tim, 88.6, bro. That kid is playing lights out, man. Holy cow. You talk about someone who just stepped right in. And here's the other thing to look for with college players coming into the pros. Look for players that are ascending. And what I mean by that is their junior year or their sophomore year, if they come out their junior year, their next to last year in college, they grade, pretty decent. And then the next year, they grade even higher. Like you're seeing them ascend as they step into the league. That's one thing about Jaden Daniels. He got better every year in college, right? Mm-hmm. With Caleb Williams, which I'm looking for Caleb on this list. I'm not seeing him right off the bat. We'll scroll down a minute. With Caleb Williams, you've seen the opposite. Won the Heisman, and then next year really did not play well. Right, so it's kind of up and down in that regard. But
I think also with Washington, a credit to what they're doing there. You got Jaden Daniels in a situation where he's not playing paranoid about making a mistake, and they got him in a situation where he can just go out there and cook and play his game. It's a testament to how you're coaching your team and how you're scheming up your offense with a rookie quarterback. A lot of times, rookie quarterbacks get handled with kid gloves. They put a lot on their plate and expect them to play mistake-free football, yet they give them too much to think about, too much to diagnose. I think they did an excellent job out there, taking a talented guy like Jaden Daniels and just putting him in a position to just play his game. And that's why they're finding success right now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so Jaden Daniels playing lots out. I see a comment in here. Drew D says, I assume Malik Willis doesn't have enough snaps to qualify. Here's what we'll do just for a quick second, then we'll get back. I should be able to remove the minimum. All right, we're going to remove the minimum requirements, and let's see where Jaden Daniels Malik Willis pops in. So he's sitting at a 77.4. Now, you notice it throws the rankings off. So remember, 77.4, Tim, that puts Malik Willis in – right above Kirk Cousins at the number 14 mark or 15 mark. I apologize. Okay, so yeah, so he would rank out 14th. You see Jordan Love is currently 21st. And again, smaller sample size than Jordan snaps, but that is where Malik Willis would come into play there. Patrick Mahomes up to an 86.4 now. Brock Purdy, 83.2. Derek Carr, 81.4. According to PFF, it's not his fault what's going on in New Orleans right now. Now, again, PFF isn't everything, but Justin Herbert, 80.6. Let's see. Kyler Murray, 80.5, playing some pretty good football. Trevor Lawrence, 80.3. And Geno Smith at an 80.2 is currently where that sits. So, again, Jordan Love coming in at the 21 spot. You want to see that get better, obviously, as the season goes along. I think he will play better in the second half. Me personally, I think that we can kind of prepare for that. If we skip to a per game basis here, okay. Obviously, last year Jordan finished at 83.6 on the year with his PFF grade. I was trying to see if we can see the week by week. They make things very difficult here sometimes. Let's go to premium stats, and it did not pull it up for you guys, so we'll just stay where we're at there. So I was wanting to see the week by week grade. View player page. Here we go. Now, view career and premium stats. And it goes to a different screen. So I'll read it off to you guys. Week by week, Jordan Love's grade, 64.6, 69.9, 44.3. That was a stinker there against LA. 72-1, 72-2, 74-6, 68-3. I'm telling you, man, you remove the pick six in that game, in that monsoon there, Tim. Jordan Love, he's playing pretty good ball right now. I feel like he's starting to get, a little more comfortable as the season goes along. Hopefully that bye week completely heals up that growing injury, though.
Yeah, I hope so. You really hope so. Because I think the more that Jordan can trust his legs, the better off we're going to be. It's going to give him a little bit of that mobility that, I think is a huge testament to his game. If you stick him strictly in the pocket and he's kind of paralyzed back there, and, if that pocket collapses, we see what happens. So hopefully with his legs underneath him allows him to wiggle out, extend these plays like we've seen him do so many times before, and then hit those open targets. So, I think Jordan's going to turn it up coming out of the bye. I agree.
Yeah, and in his running grade, now obviously he's been hampered with injuries. Last year was a 59.7. This year it's dropped to a 45.5. So that's hurting the overall grade of touch as well, obviously. So, all right, cool. So there's where Jordan Love ranks in quarterbacks across the league. Let's see, we're at the 113 mark. Why don't we look at running backs? That sound good too?
Yeah, real quick before we move on. Saw this, Nick McSwain. Fabio is not playing, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So no Trevor Lawrence for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That'll certainly make an uphill battle even more uphill, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. That game, like I said, probably don't want to watch that game.
DJN here in the chat. Nick, you're right. He might not be able to go due to the left shoulder here. He might be having season-ending surgery. Yikes.
Wow. You know what? With the way their season's gone, Tim, it's probably a good move. Just go ahead and scrap it. Get ready for the next year. I don't know if Doug Peterson's going to make it to next year.
Who's the backup down there? It's not
no clue.
Huh.
Yeah, I have no idea. We'll turn Jamie loose on it. Jamie in the chat, hit us with that real quick. All right. Running backs across the league. We'll hit this one and we'll wrap this big bear up. So Bijan Robinson, the highest graded player running back in the league at a 91.2. Then you've got Derrick Henry at 91.2. Kenneth Walker III in Seattle at an 84.5. David Montgomery in Detroit at an 84.5. And then number 5, according to PFF, is our boy Josh Jacobs at an 83.9. Now, I will say this. His weak spot this year has been kind of pass blocking. and in the passing game a little bit. Let's see where he ranks strictly by running grade, if it gets any better. So he's 4th in the league at an 86.9 behind Kenneth Walker, Bijan Robinson, and Derrick Henry. So again, man, this Josh Jacobs signing here in the offseason, Tim, it's been one of the stories of the year. Obviously, Xavier McKinney as well. Goody crushed free agency once again, no doubt.
Love it. Let him cook. Let him cook. I will not tolerate Goody slander at all.
Check this out. 14th in the league, our boy Emmanuel Wilson at an 80.0. So that's really exciting. If you sorted it by run grade, Emmanuel Wilson is actually what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9th in the league, Tim. Emmanuel Wilson, running grade. So
that's my dude right there.
Yeah, love Emmanuel Wilson for sure. Let's see if there's any
we
other
got it figured out in Jacksonville. It's Mac Jones is your QB2. Mac Jones.
Hey.
So wait a minute. Hold on a minute now.
Maybe you just gave Trevor Lawrence all that money. There's not going to be a quarterback controversy. Doug Peterson will be gone before Trevor Lawrence, because that owner is attached to Trevor Lawrence at least for a couple of years. But yeah, Mac Jones, his rookie year, played really good football. Yep. And then he loses Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels, another perfect example. Great offensive coordinator.
Not a good head coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Thank y'all for looking that up in the chat. You guys are awesome, man. So yeah.
Right now they're listing them as questionable, I guess. So I believe we had that in the chat too.
One thing we did overlook, Tim, and I really wanted to do it. I wanted to go see where Caleb Williams was on this list, because we let's climb down.
Scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll find him.
Hey, 32nd in the league, man. There you go.
How many teams are there?
There's 32 last time I checked. There may have been an expansion team overnight. I don't know. But, yeah, Caleb Williams is sitting at a 61. And, not that good, bub. Pass grade of 59.2. I love how they show the trends on the season over here. This is really cool as far as snap counts, especially with different positions. But you can kind of see how many passing snaps. So he threw the ball 54 times last week, 36 the week before, 39 the week before, 39 the week before that, 32. So those games, man, where they're asking him to throw more than 50 times, that's why DJ Moore's just walking off the field mid-play. Right?
That's terrible.
I'm tired of running around here, dude. So, again, Caleb Williams, not that good, bub. And that run grade 70.2. Without that overall, that offensive grade probably even worse. So, again, sorry to get off topic there. We were talking running backs, but I think it's important to just see where the number 1 overall pick is compared to like a Jaden Daniels and some of these other young guys for sure. So, again, Green Bay, Josh Jacobs 5th in the league in PFF grade for running backs. And then our boy Emmanuel Wilson is 14th at an 80.0. Emmanuel Wilson, too, pretty sure we got rights to him another year, Tim. I'm going to look that up real quick if you want to just talk about that for a second as far as Emmanuel Wilson. I really like the fact that he's starting to step into his own in case running backs get hurt, don't they? You never know when you're going to need them. So
yeah, and we saw that last year with E. He was coming on strong, and I believe it was a shoulder. He had a shoulder injury, took him out for a few weeks, and then we saw him a little bit towards the end of the season. He was one of those guys that we talked about all offseason that we were kind of excited to see how he's going to look out here in 2024. And so far, he hasn't disappointed. I mean, grading out in the 80s, this is great. And I think one of two things that he improved in his game is pass pro, his blocking back there. Mm-hmm. He's also improved his hands in the pass game. Emmanuel Wilson wasn't really known as catching the ball out of the backfield guy, but we've seen him do it in yards after the catch. He's bringing it, and he's a great compliment, certainly, to Josh Jacobs. I like that 1-2 punch. And, I think you're right. I think we have exclusive rights to him.
Yep, we do.
Which means, so let's look at, Marshawn Lloyd and how his rehab's going, and is he going to see the field, and, where the Packers ultimately see him in the future plans. But I would think we offer Emmanuel Wilson another deal, right? I would think we try and keep him around here.
We'll see. Like I said, he's an exclusive rights free agent, so I think he'll be brought back next year, hands down. Like they'll keep him on the roster. I mean, his cap hit this year, guys. Think about. Actually, it was 2024. So he's an exclusive rights free agent again. That's right. So his cap hit this year, Tim, $915,000.
I was just going to say it's got to be less than $1 million. Yeah.
9.15 against the cap, and the guy is the 14th highest graded running back in the league.
Yeah,
so,
pay that man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
That's how you put together a solid roster, man, when you're able to shave dollars and cents off like that, for sure.
For sure.
I wanted to get a little deeper in these positions, but obviously we're up against the gun here. Unless we were to go to the 2-hour mark, Tim, I don't know, man. I don't know if you got it in you. I don't know if I do either, to be honest.
No problem. Huh? That ain't no problem.
Well, is that right? No problem. You know what? We're not going to be doing a morning or a night show tonight because of high school playoff football here in Tennessee. So let's do it. Let's keep it rolling. Let's take it to the 2-hour mark, if that's all right with everybody in here. Well, what I mean by that is we're going to go another 40 minutes, okay? So let's do it. Let's move on to wide receiver. I want to get a real good grab on kind of where everybody's grading at for the Packers across the league. So wide receiver, okay? Top of the league, Nico Collins now hurt, 92.1. A.J. Brown, 90.2. Justin Jefferson, 87.1. Chris Godwin also hurt, 86.3. T. Higgins, 85.3. I'm pretty sure T. Higgins is hurt too. That's wild. That
Yep.
top
Rasheed Rice is hurt, right?
Yeah, 85.1. So there you go. Let's see where the Packers' first wide receiver comes in. Jaden Reed in the number 40 spot at a 71.6. All right, so 71.6. You want to see it higher. Him grading out the 40 spot. You know, Tim, we talked about if there's a receiver on this team that you would say is the number one, meaning the best receiver on the team. I know I've always sided with Jaden Reed. Like, I feel like it's him. You correct me if I'm wrong. You kind of feel like Romeo Doubs is probably considered a little better than Jaden Reed. I know they do two different things. They play two different positions. But how do you see that as far as it goes with Jaden Reed? Do you think he's the best receiver on this team, or do you think it's not as simple as that because they play two different positions?
Yeah, I don't think it's as simple as that, but I will go as far as to say that I think he's probably the most valuable receiver we have. That if you said, hey, you can only protect one of these guys, who are you keeping around no matter what? I think you got to go with Bird. My second pick would probably be Rome, then Scoot. Then you've got, a bunch of our role players, valuable guys, Tay Wicks, Bo Melton. But Jaden Reed certainly stands alone at the top of the list to me as a guy that you want to keep around, man. He's just a spark plug in this offense in so many different ways. He really is.
Yeah, I agree. Holmes in the chat said, Clayton, are you coaching tonight? No, sir, I don't coach. People have attempted to drag me into coaching, but anyone who listens to this show long enough knows why I'm not in coaching. I'm just not cut out for that, to be honest with you. I love football. I love X's and O's. I love trying to learn about the game, and I got so much more to learn, obviously. But I've just you experienced it firsthand here earlier in the show, Holmes. That's why Clayton isn't a coach. I do not have the patience. I don't have the patience for all the hands in the cookie jars within the schooling system, things like that. I just couldn't. Too many cooks in the kitchen, Tim. You know what I'm saying, man? That's
Cooks that don't know what they're doing in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's and listen, I hate being that guy in the stands, especially at the high school level. You're like, what is the coach doing? But man, there's some of these that's just like, bro, you were out here to be seen, and it's so obvious. Like you're not focused on the kids, you're not focused on the fundamentals, the basics.
Yeah,
like it's hard. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. Holmes said smoke. That's right. And we're not talking about the devil's lettuce either. We're talking about a bad temper. That's why there's no way I could do it, man.
Stay
and that would
off the damn weed.
Not that smoke. Clayton does not smoke. All right. But and there's nothing wrong with smoke. Okay. Let me put that out there too. Do you? All right. It is what it is. But it's just, I don't know, man. I can't. I think I would lose joy for the game out there trying to coach.
Clayton would be that UL Monroe assistant coach that got in trouble for pushing his O-line around.
Yes, because that's how I was coached, like growing up, and to this day, man. Like, listen, when I played ball, and again I played baseball. When I played ball, I had a coach that's in the Kentucky High School Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame. And at the time, by the time I graduated, I was just like, man, I don't like this stuff. Like, it's just, you're so immature as a young person that it's like you can't get it. You know what I mean? 2 years out of high school, it was like, damn, I was an idiot. Why did I not listen? Why did I not take that coaching? He wasn't just trying to help me in Bay. He was trying to help me in life. And to this day, we're still real close. It's just a missed opportunity. Being young and immature, you can't handle it. And I know that's how I was coached at every level. That's how I would want to coach. And in today's world, you can't coach like that, man. You just can't.
Yep.
You can't do it. So, yeah. All right. Let's see here. Jaden Reed, 40th. Again, let's see where the next Packers receiver comes into play. And again, these aren't everything, guys. It's just another tool we can use. Christian Watson, tied for 59th at 66.8, is the second highest graded receiver according to PFF for the Packers. Then you go down just a touch to 68 is where Romeo Doubs comes in at 64.9. Then the next receiver for the Packers is Dontavion Wicks at 101. He grades out at a 57.2. So, Tim, Dontavion Wicks obviously taking a huge step back. I think he still has an opportunity to be a great player in the league. The drops have been the main issue. But again, Romeo Doubs, what the PFF is saying, if you said PFF is everything, and I'm going to take it as the gospel, you're saying Jaden Reed is a solid number 2 wide receiver. And again, you're comparatively speaking across the league, okay? Christian Watson is a number 2 receiver. Romeo Doubs is a number 3 receiver. That's what the PFF grades are suggesting here, okay? Again, I don't think that's the case, but do with it what you want. Jaden Reed, according to PFF, is the best receiver on the Packers roster right now. So can you get better at receiver? You can, but I think it's more about these players we got on the roster up in their game as opposed to we need to go out and get a different receiver next year. Does that make sense, Tim? I don't know if you agree with that or not. But
No, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially when you look at it like this. It does. It really does.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Nick McSwain said Clayton can't coach because he's Italian. Exactly. I'm Italian. I'm Irish, is what he's talking about. That was hilarious. We need to get that sound drop put in the show. Me saying I'm Italian. People going, my ass, you're Italian. All right, so that's receiver position. Anything else you want to see there, Tim? Anything catch you off guard? Comments before we move on to tight end?
I guess just the top of the list. A bunch of injured, banged up receivers. So clearly things are they're gonna juggle around these numbers here as the weeks progress.
Yes.
And I fully anticipate guys like Jaden Reed to work their way up this list a little bit. And we'll see how this looks in a month or so.
Yeah. Drew D, don't let Michael Lombardi hear you call yourself a tap, bro. Pat McAfee cracks me up, Tim. I don't know how often you watch his show, but he did a 23andMe test, and he came up to like a 1% Italian. And he's got several Italian friends on the show. Oh, it's such a funny dynamic because he always tries to act Italian around them, and they get so mad. It's hilarious, dude. So obviously Michael Lombardi coming on there. Michael Lombardi's the man, dude. Love that dude. Drew D, I love Pat McAfee. Man, that show is I look forward to it every day, man. There's nothing better. Nothing better for sure. I usually put the replay on while I'm getting ready for the show here. So
Nice.
Put you in a nice frame of mind just to get on here and have a good time and not be so Italian, right? So anyway, let's move on to tight end real quick. Tight end, and this may surprise people because obviously Tucker Kraft, we feel like he's having a good year. PFF disagrees, but again, it doesn't mean everything. As the forklift certified here.
Look at all them barrels of yak.
That's right, moving those barrels of yak down the field. So George Kittle, no surprise, man, 88.5. Top graded tight end in the league. Brock Bowers, 86.7. Trey McBride, 79.5. That's been one of the big surprises. You want to talk about why Arizona is starting to turn things around down there in the NFC West. Trey McBride being that safety valve for our boy, what's his name? Kyler Murray. That's obviously a big reason why. Mark Andrews continuing to play well, 78.4. Josh Oliver in Minnesota, been a pleasant surprise there for them. So that's how the tight end, the top 5 shake out across the league. Let's see where Tucker Kraft is coming into play. Tucker Kraft is 42nd right now in the league at a 61.9. Obviously, we feel like he's playing better than that. Now, there have been a lot of mental mistakes. You've seen that on the tape early in the year. Again, when you look at what I like about PFF, they're not saying, hey, Tucker Kraft is not even starting caliber. They're simply grading it out like by consistency, right? That comes into play really, really big here. And Tucker Kraft has been inconsistent. You've seen it on the tape. On the other side of the table, though, Tim, when that dude turns it on, boy, he turns it on. He's a big play waiting to happen, isn't he?
Absolutely. And really, this is year 2, right? So like he's still coming into his own in this league, getting more comfortable every rep, every snap, every week. So I think you'll see the inconsistency start to kind of settle a little bit, and we'll get a better barometer of what he really is going forward long term. I mean, really look at the top of the list right here with George Kittle. That was George Kittle. His first couple of years too was kind of a little up and down, a little inconsistent. Now this guy's like stamped himself in the upper echelon of tight ends, and I don't think there's any reason to believe that Tuck Norris can't join him up there.
Yeah, definitely. Drew D says, I don't get why they hate Kraft so much. Then he went on to say, yeah, I guess PFF grades consistency above all else. That's the vibe I get. It really is true. Like you can come out and make 3 plays that literally win your team the game. But if the other snaps, if you have 5 bad snaps, you're going to have a very low PFF grade. And what I like about that is that's how coaches grade the game too. Like they'll show, like, the old Lombardi clip or the old clip of Dave Robinson, Hall of Famer that played for Lombardi, making a game-winning play, and he still got a -2 because it was just, it wasn't his assignment. He didn't play it with, even though the play worked out for the Packers, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a positive grade. So, yeah. Holmes in the chat says PFF is certainly flawed. It's just a resource that's a part of many others. Completely agree. That's perfectly said. Again, it's going to have its flaws, and that's why it's important. It's so important to watch the tape. It really is. And the spreadsheet warriors out there, they hate hearing that, right? They obviously refer to us as the tape guys. So, but some people were going, where's Ben Sims, Clayton? Where's Ben Sims? Remember, we talk about the minimal snaps, right? So let's remove the minimal snaps and see where Ben Sims comes into play here. I hate that I have to keep widening that out, but here we go. Ben Sims for the Packers is grading out at a 68.0. All right, so significantly higher. Now, if we remove the minimum snaps, remember 68 for me. Let's see where he would grade out across the league with that 68. The 68, that would put Ben Sims in the number 20 spot, Tim. So, again, limited snaps, but every opportunity Ben Sims has got. This is a perfect example, Drew, of what we were just talking about. Ben Sims has played more consistent than Tucker Kraft. There's no two ways about it. Yep. Smaller sample size. If he had the same amount of snaps as Tucker, if the snaps were flipped, you'd probably see Ben Sims' grade come down, I would imagine. But based off what we've seen, Tim, I think we got a solid tight end. Isn't it funny as we're doing this, why we do these exercises? Halfback Emmanuel Wilson, he'll be back next year, exclusive rights free agent. Ben Sims, I'm almost positive, will be back as well because they still have him under contract, I think, if I remember correctly, through next year. So that's a guy that's going to be a big contributor moving forward, man. It's nice to know you got him in your back pocket along with Emmanuel Wilson. Yeah, for sure. And when you talk about the tight ends, it sets the tone for Luke Musgrave to come back strong and to start to play at the top of his game. He's been a little underwhelming, and I think there's a spot for him in this offense going forward as well. And Ben Sims, Tucker Kraft, and Luke Musgrave. I feel pretty solid about our tight end room. And these guys can make each other better. And as you see Ben Sims kind of step it up, that's got to be motivation for Luke Musgrave to kind of get it together and come out here and be a force. Yeah. So again, his 68 PFF grade, offensive grade, 65 receiving, 64.5 run blocking. What's really cool is like last year, 60.5, not bad, right? This year he jumps to a 68. So you're seeing that improvement. And he's got that. Go back up to the top there, man. He's got that perm mullet game going strong too, man. That's what got a strong jawline and everything. Yeah, that's a tight end right there. I like it. I love that our tight end room's turned into like a frat house. Him and Tucker Kraft. I'm sure Coach LaFleur loves that too. Yeah, exactly. I bet he loses sleep at night wondering what those two knuckleheads are going to do today. But this is what's really cool when you look at his snap count. Week 1, only 1 snap. Week 2, it jumped to 6. Week 3, you had 2. Week 4, 2. Right. And then week 5, he jumps to 12 snaps. I'm sorry, not 12, actually 19 total snaps. Week 6, he jumps to 28. Week 7, steps back to 16. Week 8, 25 snaps. Last week, only 12 snaps. Okay, so it's obvious they leaned on 11 personnel more than they did 12 last week against the Lions. And that doesn't say anything about Ben Sims. It says everything about the game plan. Yeah, about scheme, exactly. Yep. So, but the big thing is here from week 5 to week 9, you see a significant increase as opposed to the first 4 weeks of the season. So they're seeing the same thing that PFF's seeing, they being the Packers, and we're seeing it too. Like, okay, this dude's earning more snaps. And thankfully so, because like I said, Luke Musgrave's still injured. It's going to be a little bit. I think it was Matt Schneidman tweeted this out earlier in the week. Luke Musgrave had ankle surgery rather. LaFleur says he has missed the last 5 weeks while on IR, hoping to get him back later in the season. Much different approach as opposed to Marshawn Lloyd is coming off IR pretty soon here, hopefully. So sounds like Luke Musgrave will probably be in the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season if he has a chance of coming back. It's just nice to know that Ben Sims can fill in that.
And I would expect a pretty heavy dose of Ben Sims and Tucker Kraft here against the Bears. Against that Bears defense, we got to get our tight ends involved for sure.
Yeah, I could see that. And as we move forward, here into next week, we're going to dive into the tendencies of the Chicago Bears, right? We're going to talk about what personnel they run the most, the top 2 personnel on offense, and where their EPA rankings are in that regard. Same thing on defense, how they handle certain looks, all that good stuff. So, all right, let's move on to center. Oh, look away for a second. This one hurts. The number 1 graded center in the league is Creed Humphrey. Obviously was taken 1 pick after Josh Myers. But that dude is he's tracking to go down as one of the better centers in the history of the game. He's just a man amongst boys out there. 93.6 elite PFF grade. Ooh. Tyler Linderbaum, you remember us talking about him in the draft?
Yep.
86.1. Really good grade there. Aaron Brewer for the Dolphins. Don't know who that is. Sound like a school teacher. 85.2. Right, solid grade. Zach Frazier, remember that name, Tim?
Sounds like a boxer. Yeah.
Was that in the most recent draft, Tim? Zach Frazier? Yeah. He was my second highest graded center in the draft, Zach Frazier. And, I remember this specifically too. Me and Mike Wall talking about this off air. Zach Frazier, I'm pretty sure, was the guy that had the wrestling background. One of the guys that had a wrestling background. Wrestling background, man. I asked Mike, I'm like, so is that important? Oh, yeah. You get a guy that's got a wrestling background, man. They understand leverage. So,
yep.
Zach
hand
Frazier.
Position and playing with your legs underneath you and not getting tipped over. And, for sure.
Frank Ragnow with the Detroit Lions, 81.5, the 5th highest graded center. Joe Tipman with the Jets. That's interesting. That name sounds familiar. Let's see if he was in the most recent draft. It might have been the year before, though. I think it was the year before. Yeah, I don't have him on my interior offensive lineman list. So I think Tipman must have been the year before. You guys correct me if I'm wrong there in the chat. Froholt, 70.7 for the Cardinals. Buffalo Bills, Connor McGovern, 70.7. Brady Christensen for the Panthers, 69.1, so on and so forth. So let's see where Josh Myers comes in. On the PFF grades, he's 34th at a 49.9 currently. Listen, it's been a rough year. Josh lost his dad, obviously. I couldn't imagine going out there and trying to compete at a professional level after losing my father. It was hard enough for me to function this year. Not having to deal with all the pressure of being a professional athlete when I lost my brother. It was tough. I don't want to pile on, but this has been a problem before this year too, right? And now the thing about Josh that's frustrating is he's one of the best pass blocking centers in the game, right? I mean, if we go by pass blocking amongst centers, Josh Myers is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the league according to PFF. So, and it's not just been this year, Tim. He's been a solid pass blocker his entire career.
May explain why we get away from the run and we lean pass so much, especially on early downs.
Yeah, it could play a role. But again, running is important, obviously. And the big thing, people were going Clayton once he struggled with running. When we run duo or when we run a play where he's getting to the next level with some kind of zone run, he's got all the athleticism in the world. But when he gets there, he just can't – he's not a sticky blocker, on what we call impact blocking on the move, right? Pass blocking, I've heard a lot of people, Tim, say, why don't they play him at guard? And I always roll my eyes at that, but it does kind of make sense a little bit. What if you did play him at guard and you seen that run blocking go up? I don't know if it would, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with playing center. I mean, you've seen it with Elton. Granted, it was a monsoon, but Elton struggled with the snaps, and
he hasn't played center in a while. Yeah,
it's going to take time, right? So Josh Myers here, man. Again, I don't want to pile on, but it just feels like you probably need to try to find his replacement. Many people think Elton Jenkins is his replacement. You kick him to center. You keep Jordan Morgan in the starting lineup. And whether it's Sean Ryan moving forward at left guard or it's Jordan Morgan at left guard and Sean Ryan at right guard, kind of feels like Elton Jenkins is the center of the future. That was information coming out last season, too. I remember specifically in year they said they have their center of the future already in the building. Kind of feels like that's probably going to be Elton. But anything you want to add to Josh Myers? I know we don't want to pile on, but
no. And I think, like you said, the PFF numbers, it points to the inconsistencies, right? If you're not consistent, and that's one of the things, we're not going to dump on him, but Josh has not been consistent. You see games where he looks like an absolute freak of nature out there, and then you see games where he's whiffing and getting pancaked, and it doesn't look good. So that's probably explains the low grading. Me personally, as far as Elton Jenkins playing center, I don't have a problem with it, but I think it's been said before that Elton prefers playing guard. Like if his comfortability means anything out there, he'd probably rather play left guard than center. Obviously, the guy's going to do whatever's best for this team, and if we need him out there as the center, then that's where he's going to be. I think there's validity to what you're saying. We brought Jordan Morgan in here. Sean Ryan, we're in year 3 of the Sean Ryan experiment. See if these guys can hold up at left and right guard, put Big E at center consistently. I bet you the snaps look a little better. He finds his rhythm, knowing that he's playing center on a consistent basis rather than kind of floating back and forth. So we'll see what the bye week does, though. Hopefully Josh is better. I believe it's the wrist injury or something he was dealing with that's been holding him out. So maybe we get him back and we get this O-line that we had earlier this year clicking and things look better. But I think you're right. Long term, Elton Jenkins is definitely the contingency plan for center for sure.
Yeah. Holmes in the chat says, perhaps I love Jenkins and he can play everywhere. He would need reps. Monk may be good there too. They were really high on Monk coming out of college. I do. So who knows, man? Monk might work into that. I kind of feel like Monk's going to be, and I could be wrong. I don't have like any inside information to suggest this, but based off what they've done in the past, it kind of feels like Monk's going to be that guy that sits on the bench for a year or two, and then all of a sudden he's competing for a job. Like think Sean Ryan, think Rasheed Walker.
Rasheed Walker, I was just going to say, yeah.
I could see it being something like that because he said a full year, didn't hardly get any snaps, and he's starting left tackle the next year. Box hurt, and they haven't looked back. So I could see Jacob Monk being that. And who knows? Maybe they get an off-season program. He does something, physically as far as his training. They're impressed with it. They go, let's try him at center. Now we can leave Elton at left guard. That could be the case too. And that thought or that comment that came out last year that people within the building, meaning part of the Packers staff, said they have their center of the future in the building, they could have been talking about Jacob Monk. We don't know, right? And that is very fluid for sure. So we'll see though, man. Again, center, I consider it tier 2 of importance on offense. On offense, I've only got left tackle or blind side if you're a lefty, like Tua. Right tackle is most important, right? But obviously Jordan Love being a right-handed quarterback. Left tackle, blind side, top priority, and then quarterback, obviously top priority. Those two are tier 1 in my opinion. Center tier 2, and I don't consider any other position on offense being tier 2. I really don't. Yeah. Right tackle, I know some would argue is just as important as left tackle. I got you. I'm glad Zach Thomas so solid there. It's obvious the Packers see that as really, really important, or else they would have kicked Zach Tom to left tackle and just threw someone else at right tackle. So we'll see, man. What's up, Daryl? Good morning to you, buddy. We're just in here talking a little Packers way longer than we should, but that's what football geeks do. So, all right, let's move on to guard since we were kind of hitting on guard a little bit. Let's see how we're looking at the guard position. I think what we'll do, Tim, we'll probably do offense today, and then tomorrow we'll do defense if that's cool with you.
Sounds good.
I like this deep. Do you like this format, like kind of seeing where they rank across the league?
I do, because we see things so one-dimensionally a lot of times. We watch the majority of film we watch is Packer film. We're a Packer pod. We're Packer fans. When you compare our guys up against everybody else in the league, it kind of gives you a different perspective. And again, this is just PFF. It's not everything, but I think it's great. I like this.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the guard position. So the top graded guard, according to PFF in the NFL, is James Daniels with Pittsburgh, 92.9. Will Fries with the Colts, 86.9. Joe Tooney with the Kansas City Chiefs just continues to play well, 86.1. Chris Lindstrom, 85.2 for the Falcons. Quentin Nelson for the Colts, 84.9. All right. Let's see where the first green. Whoa, that was pretty colors there. Let's see where the first Green Bay Packers guard comes in on the list here. So you've got Sean Ryan, 47th at a 61.5. They've got Elton Jenkins, 50th at 60.2. That would suggest that both of these guards are starting caliber, right? Obviously being 64 guards that start across the league every single week. But the Elton Jenkins one really kind of catches you off guard. His run blocking is what struggled there too. 83 pass blocking, run blocking 54.9. I will say this. Something I've kept my eye on here. And Sean Ryan, listen, that's awesome that Sean Ryan's grading out in the 60s, in my opinion. He's been playing a lot better this year than he did, obviously, last year.
It's also awesome that you said caught us off guard when talking about guard. That was great.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even mean it, right? So the thing that I want to really key in on, Tim, is we're noticing the run blocking grades for the Packers, according to PFF, are all extremely low, right? They're one of the worst run blocking teams in the league, according to PFF. Yet we've got running backs that are just dominating. I think, just like with the pass rush, people throw up the PFF pressure numbers and the PFF pass rush grade, and you'll hear me say from time to time, guarantee you PFF gave them a horrible grade on that play, even though you could tell they're not truly rushing the quarterback. They're occupying two blockers, kind of working into a throwing lane. I think that's a real issue at PFF. I really do. And the main issue is that they're not completely transparent about it. They're not telling you, hey, here's what we've seen on this play. Here's what we've seen in this game. They're just kind of throwing these numbers out there and going, nope, you're not allowed to know who's evaluating the play. You're not allowed to know what specific plays got horrible grades. It's just kind of into the ether, right? What I'm getting at is I think that they don't truly understand at PFF what Matt's asking these guys to do in the run blocking. And the reason being is you can't have that much of a difference in running back grade and run blocking grade. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. So let me give you an example. When you run split flow, something that is also known as slice or split zone, essentially what you've got is the offensive line is zone blocking in one direction, and in that direction, the tight end on that side is coming back across the formation to block the end that's unblocked, okay? So to give you an example, if they're blocking left and you see a guy slips a block, but the running back uses a cutback lane to gash a big play, which we've seen in the past, both last year, the year before with Aaron Jones, I can see how PFF will go, oh, he didn't block that guy. Bad run blocking rep. But Matt LaFleur may be telling his guys within the scheme, if that guy's on your outside shoulder, just let him go. We're going to use the cutback. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I wonder if there's some of that goes into the run blocking. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It does. It's almost like we talk about on the D-line when we talk about, we're not always blitzing. We're not always trying to get a sack on the quarterback. There's technique to this. Yeah. I think it's true.
And I think it's why former players roll their eyes at PFF. Mike Wall being one, there's multiple guys. Mm-hmm. Everybody, any former player that goes on the McAfee show, they scoff at PFF. And their main thing is always, we don't know what the play call was. I push back a little bit because I go, yeah, we do. I can show you that's a cover 3 zone match. You can see it, right? But what they're getting at is you don't know exactly what the coaches told them on that specific play. And it changes from play to play. Like if they're in a dub set, if they're in a 2x2 set, and you call a specific zone match, even though we can tell that zone match because of the route concept that was ran, the passing concept that was ran, yeah, you could pick it up there. But they may have been told on another play where you see them completely drop that route, the coaches may have told them, look, yeah, we're playing zone match here, and you're supposed to cover to this point. But if it's an end breaker, just let that go. And you'll go, oh, he blew his coverage. But we truly don't know what the DC was telling them because they were expecting a different look out of trips or Trey as opposed to 2x2 sets. So I think you get a little bit of that in the run game too. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of –
It does. It makes me think of Chris Brooks, with the Rolex play we broke down, last week. It's like I'm sure he got –
What did they grade him? Yeah.
Crap grade on that for sure, but it's like that play won us the game.
Right. So. And listen, it's not to bash PFF. They may have a criteria that they're like, look, if we start allowing this and that to sway the grade because we know this, it's going to make everything convoluted. I just wish they were more transparent about, hey, here is how we grade exactly, because there is some blurred lines there. But again, anytime you can get multiple sets of eyes on every single snap in the league, I want that information, whether it may be right or wrong. That's where you can look into the tape and go, I disagree with that, but I love it as a good base of information. Jordan Morgan grading out 54th, Tim. He's right on that cusp, the cusp of that 60 PFF grade. He's sitting at 59.2. We talk about as a rookie. If you can grade out in the 60s, you're good to go. I'm feeling a lot better about the Jordan Morgan pick. What about you?
I am too. And, they've been moving him around too. We'll kind of see where he settles in and finds a home on this O-line. But this is where you want a rookie to be grading out.
Yeah. And did he play left guard last week, Tim? Am I thinking right, man?
He did. I believe so, because Elton went to center. So
that's what I was thinking. So
that might be the move, man. Him at left guard, Biggie at center, and then you got Sean Ryan as your right guard. We'll see, though. Yeah,
I'm going to try to pull this up in a separate window. You guys won't be able to see it, but I want to see how he graded out. Actually, you guys, it did pull that up, didn't it? Let's see here. Premium stats, blocking. All right. I want to see. So that last game, here we go. You can see the snaps and where he played. Well, you guys can't see it. I can. I apologize. So last week he did against Detroit. He played left guard, 65 snaps. Okay. So he's played right guard all year long until last week. Let's read it off grade by week here for Jordan Morgan. Let me scroll this up so you guys aren't just staring at random numbers. You know who we're talking about. So week 1, 67.7. Week 2, 48.5, 49.9, 57.4, 71.7 against Jacksonville, and then 62.6 against Detroit. So what you've seen, Tim, is the last 3 weeks, actually the last 5 weeks, he's gotten better.
Yep.
48.5, 49.9, 57.4, 71.7, and then took a slight step back at 62.6. So his best grade this year, only 22 snaps, but against Jacksonville at right guard, 71.2. And then last week, he stabilized at left guard at 62.6. So I don't know if Myers will miss this next game. I kind of feel like they would have put him IR if they thought he was going to miss significant time. So I imagine he would definitely be, he being Jordan Morgan, would be way more comfortable at left guard.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And this is where, like we talked about, man, first round pick, we were excited on draft night when we went this route. And I think if you look at how he's trending right now, this is the right direction for a rookie, especially a guy who played predominantly tackle, played on left tackle, I believe, at Arizona. So him coming to the NFL and getting moved around and still grading out near, close to 60 is good. And we'll see how many more snaps he gets. He's going to get peppered into that lineup more. He's a first-round pick. You already know we're going to make him an integral role on this offensive line going forward. So keep your eyes peeled for Jordan Morgan for sure.
Yeah. I like what Fred McFarley says here too. I like him at left guard. I imagine it would be easier to kick the left tackle should Walker get hurt mid-game.
Bingo.
You're getting kind of that consistent reps, working to your left, working to your left, working to your left. If you do have to fill in at left tackle in a pinch, that's a great observation, Fred.
It really is, because it's easier to go from guard to tackle on the same side of the field than it would be to go, take a left tackle and move them to the right. A lot of times people think, oh, you're a tackle, you can play. It's like, nah, it doesn't usually work that way.
Yeah, and it, like Mark Tauscher said, he said, for those fans that say you can just play left and then right, he said, I got a challenge for you tonight. Go home, try to wipe your rear end with the opposite hand. That's what it's like trying to block on the opposite side of the line.
Yeah.
Said, and Tausch, that's a little graphic, but I get the point. Must be different. Must be different. All right, last position. We got 6 minutes. We're going to do this. Thanks for hanging out a little longer, Tim. This is fun, man.
Sure, man.
All right, let's go left tackle, or let's go tackle position in general. Terran Armstead in the NFL, 91.1 in Miami. He's the top graded tackle. Jordan Mailata in Philly, 88.4. Penei Sewell in Detroit, 87.5. Rashawn Slater, 86.4 with the Chargers. Charles Cross with the Seahawks, 84.6. Trent Williams, 84.4 with the Niners. And then our very own Zach Tom Moneybags McGee, going to be getting a bag here in a year or two. 83.3. Got a pass blocking grade of 81.9 and run blocking grade of 84.6. So PFF likes what they see from him, Tim. So probably the only guy on the Packers offensive line that they give a good run blocking grade to. But
and here's the thing too. What do we talk about? Consistency, right? Zach Tom is probably the most consistent player on that offensive line. So it makes sense that he's great.
Even more so than Elton Jenkins, right?
Yep, for sure.
I feel comfortable saying that. All right, let's see where the next tackle is going to be. Rashid, where he's going to come into play. Rashid Walker's grade now is the 50th best tackle right now at 63.1. He's got a pass block grade of 80.0. That run blocking grade, though, 85.6. Again, I'll tell you this, what I was getting at earlier, and I kind of got off topic. When I said this about PFF's run blocking grades for the Packers, if the Packers re-sign Josh Myers to an extension, then we know for sure that there is something to this flaw in PFF's ability to grade the run blocking aspect of the Packers, because that would say you'd have to look up and go, okay, the only thing telling us that Josh Myers is a bad center is his run blocking. He's got the snap stuff down now. That was an issue. That was a real issue, right? And he's got that cleaned up now. If we look at the run block or the running grade for these running backs, and they have the Packers with 2 in the top 15, one of which is a top 5 back in Josh Jacobs. And you see the statistics. He's 4th in the league in rushing, whatever it is, right? You see all those line up. And then the only negative aspect we have to our running game is the PFF run blocking grade. And then the Packers go and throw extra money at Josh Myers to keep him. I have got to then accept the fact that PFF doesn't understand how to grade the run blocking for the Packers. Does that make sense? Because now you've got money backing it. You've got statistics backing it. You've got, you can't just continue to side with one website like that, right? Does that make sense?
It does. Because think of how the coaches are grading their own guys. They got to be using multiple factors, multiple indicators. So like you said, PFF has their method, whatever their methodology is. We're just saying it's not the be all to end all. And you're right. Money talks, BS walks, right? So we'll see what the Packers do here going forward. Should give us our answer.
Yep. All right. Let's see if there's another tackle that makes the list real quick. I don't think there is. It looks like they got 76 there, so we won't go minimum requirements. I don't even know if we played another tackle. We haven't, have we? Our guys, we've been really healthy at the tackle position. Very blessed in that regard this year. So There you go. All right. So those are your offensive PFF grades and kind of where the Packers rank this season, just to kind of get an idea of where everybody's sitting. Is it starting caliber? Is it not? That type of thing. So we're kind of back to where we were a couple of years ago, feeling like the Packers don't have a true number 1 wide receiver. They've got a room full of number 2s as far as comparing the grades across the league. So there you go. Look, Dane hopping in here. Good morning, Posse, and we're getting ready to wrap up, Dane. I'm sorry. Been going for 2 hours, and Dane hops in. All of a sudden, we're out of here. So let's see what Daryl said. Daryl says, Josh Myers has not been a disappointment on the offensive line. He works his butt off to keep that center job. Yeah, again, it's been a very hot-button topic. Here's the way I look at it, Daryl. If you can do better, go get better. And what you don't want to do is overpay for good. You're willing to overpay for great. So you've got to ask yourself, is Josh Myers a great center? I personally, and you may disagree, and that's okay, I personally don't think he's a great center. Based off what I'm seeing, it looks like he's an above average to good center, and you just can't overpay for good. You're willing to overpay for Zach Tom. He's a great player, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but that's like Xavier McKinney. No one thinks you overpaid for Xavier McKinney, but you're willing to because he's a great player. Josh Jacobs, you're willing to overpay because he's a great player. You're just not willing to overpay for those. That's why, like with me and Rashawn Gary, I see Rashawn Gary as a great player. Many Packer fans don't. I see him as a great player. You're willing to overpay because it's a tier 1 position of importance, and I think he's a great player. Is he having a down year? Absolutely. But if you're saying, okay, he had one down year, let's cut him loose. Now you have no edge defenders on your team. You're throwing out what is this year a very good player when we've seen that his ceiling is a great player, if that makes sense. So we just haven't seen that with Josh. I haven't seen him play great. I don't know if that makes sense. So,
oh, it does. It does. We've seen flashes. We've seen some nice plays from Josh. But yeah, you're right. It's nothing that's, jumping off the charts, putting him in the upper echelon,
Yeah, for sure. Tim, you got anything else?
I don't think they'll overpay for him though. You know what I mean? I'm sure it'll reflect the output. He'll get good money, pay good money for good,
And you'll get a comp pick, right? I'm pretty sure you'll get a comp pick for that too. So
yep.
If he does leave and someone else overpays, I think that's the move, is let him test the market. And, we get into the offseason, we'll start putting actual numbers to these, like, okay, here's what I think he's worth. I mean, just right off the cuff, if you were to say, okay, Clayton, what's the maximum you'd be willing to pay Josh Myers right now? If you decided to bring him back, the number that's popping in my mind is like $5 million per, no more than that,
It's also going to be the years too, because I'm assuming Josh is going to want like an extended type of contract. I don't know how much the Packers are willing to long term,
Yeah,
3 years maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Fred McFarley says, hit him with that Jair video. He said, waited, but the show didn't suck. I apologize, Fred. I'm sorry for letting you down there, buddy. But sometimes the show isn't so bad. And other people in the chat said, I respectfully disagree. All right. We're out of here, guys. Appreciate y'all. Again, no show tonight. We're going to be going to some high school playoff football. We'll be back tomorrow morning for Good Morning Lambeau again. Then we'll do an evening show Saturday night. Probably do 2 shows on Sunday as well. Still going to do a pregame show, Tim. I think what I'd like to do is get up and just kind of do a kickoff show for the week, type thing. I think that would be fun. Kind of get everybody ready for the games coming up. We'll see how everything comes into play, though. Again, if you guys want to join our Patreon community, scan the QR code in the upper right. They'll send you to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Tim, thanks for hanging out, man. This was fun.
This is awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Be back at it tomorrow, man. Tomorrow.
That's right, man. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.